and welcome to another PLL recap. We're going over PLL 92 today, which is the second half, or I almost feel like second third of the PLLs for 7.5. I'll be using my own translation, supplemented with the XIV Reddit Discords, images, and translations. So, let's get started. The introduction, including the test stream, included baseball. Always baseball. Anyway, he's wearing a baseball shirt. No, the job coming is not pitcher. He just likes the shirt. There was also a bit of a goofing back and forth where Yoshi P was struggling to find some stuff in-game, like the Behemoth for Beastmaster, for the in-game example of content later. He then mentioned that there'd be more in-depth Beastmaster stream later, and even later in the stream they mentioned that they will have Mr. Ozma involved. It's a very, very busy time for everybody at the Final Fantasy XIV team because FanFest prep, events, patch, everything, it's very, very busy. So they start us off after that with the introduction and give us our trailer, which, while I will not be showing here, I recommend going to the links here to see the version of the trailer that you wish to see. They talked about the fact that there's some terminology that we haven't heard in a while. There's been some, scenes of seeing the Scions all together we haven't had in a while. They might even feel like, with what they're going to talk about at the FanFest this coming week, that there's some things that they're going to say that perhaps they shouldn't even talk about, since 7.5's Part 1 MSQ isn't even out. But, well, I suppose that means we're in for some big surprises. There was also the tiny bit at the end where, wow, what could that mean? Who knows? They did say they will talk more about it at FanFest. They want to talk about it, but they can't. Moving on from the trailer, they went to a rundown of the information that they've been telling us so far. As mentioned, the MSQ is in 2 parts, and each part they mentioned is actually the same as a normal length patch. So it's basically 2 MSQ patches in one. Moving on, the next thing on the docket was the Dawn Trail Allied Society Capstone Quest. It's just what we kind of know we should expect. Next, they talked about Hildebrand, inconceivably further Hildebrand adventures, which got the comment that Hildebrand is dumb, very, very dumb, as per usual. We also have the new custom deliveries, T-Solja, which they've been releasing a lot of merch for recently, since tacos. Everybody really loves tacos. Next, they talked about the duty support editions, including Dusk Vigil and Shisoya the Violet Tides, our expected kind of PvP standard updates, Series 11 beginning, some minor adjustments, and the previously mentioned new Crystalline Conflict Arena, which is on the next slide, Archaea Harmonious, which they mentioned they would show in person in the PLL later here. They also mentioned the new dungeon, the Kuritiusu, the Clytium. And they also mentioned that it's kind of Garlemald for the first time in a while, with some interesting tech involved, and people in the chat were like, this looks like Sapporo. To which I feel like Yoshi was like, huh? Next, they also brought up the Echoes of Vana'diel Part 3, which they even said that they would also show in-game later in the PLL as well. Obviously, next on the list was the new trial, Enuo, which has normal and extreme. They said it would be more of a straightforward fight, but fast, unlike Doom Train. The other similar type piece of content, Shinyu's Domain Unreal, will be added. And the quote-unquote secret Ultimate Raid. They want to talk about it, but as I said before, they can't yet. Please wait till FanFest. And they mentioned that it is very flashy. They also mentioned that there will be weapon enhancements for the Phantom weapons, as well as, of course, later mentioned, the Crafter relics over in Cosmic Exploration. We also will have a new Occult Crescent Zone, and as been talked about quite a bit, the new limited job Beastmaster, which once again they would show us in person in-game footage later in the PLL. And an exciting update for all fishers, a new ocean fishing route, the Thavnir route. And as mentioned a few moments ago, the new cosmic exploration star, Oxesia. And some minor miscellaneous updates, the Gold Saucer update, which once again they still can't tell us quite a bit about, but they said that it will be in the 0.5x, so not right at the get-go, and will be focused on multiplayer, so with multiple people playing with multiple players. Again, about the housing update, just to reiterate, increased item placement limits, interior furnishing, fixture designs, and some new settings under the configuration to adjust the amount of characters displayed inside housing. This is due to, you might want to see the people, you might want to prefer those models loading in versus the items. And there was a side discussion about item culling and, obviously, if you're on the first floor, you don't really need what's on the second floor. There was a side discussion about item culling and how some housing designs could involve a lot of items in a small space. It could even involve certain setups might have, if you set the housing visibility limit to this amount, you'll get a different view of the event or of the house and what have you. But to keep that in mind, that to accommodate more player environments, that maybe keep in mind that if you put an item on the second floor, it might not load in while you're on the first floor, so that way they can have more items. And the last part of the rundown we had was more gear will be in the Armoire and the revamped dye system update. Unfortunately, they will have more details in the patch notes about that. Moving on from this, they went to showing us the Alliance Raid, Echoes of Anadil Part 3, Windurst, the Third Walk. He said he would show us about a little bit up to the first boss, and opened up, showed us the cutscene, the beautiful greenery, and of course, no, I shouldn't do the laugh, but our lovely Shantoto here is the first boss where she destroyed Conditional Virtue. I assume that's its name still in 11. With, again, a very, very lovely arena that we can see up here. Kind of Yoshi P commenting how it's very, very nostalgic for 11 players, and maybe if you haven't played 11, to go please play FF11. When he got to the arena, before he got to the arena, he did a very nice aesthetic shot like so, and got to the arena, to which they talked about how, yes, you can fall off. You can fall off. And he spawned here, uses God mode to res himself, and immediately pulls Shantoto, which was quite amusing. We get to see a few of Shantoto's mechanics, thanks to him activating God mode, up to her summoning multiple ley lines. And then promptly Yoshida dying, where there was a brief moment of humor with Alxel, the Elvon, saying, don't give up, while Yoshida is dead on the floor. They then showed off some of the gear pieces on a Lalafell in-game, this being the caster set. And then we have, I believe this is the tank and maiming set, the monk set. We have the Vipers set. And if you want to look at the full set and their base colors, you can view them on the official 7.5 website as well. They are dyeable, so that's good. I'm curious to see how they interact with dyes, the dual dye channels, how they interact with the dye channels differently depending on the version of the gear that you get. So, and it's obviously great that these are now available to everybody. Moving on from that, though, they moved into the PvP discussion about Archaea Harmonious. They talked about the new gimmick here, and generally speaking, it's about glyphs, a bunch of different ones. The first one they talked about is the healing glyph, which is mentioned here. It's going to be right in front of your starting point, and you will sustain 50% damage, so you'll take 50% damage, and recover, as we could see later, a huge amount of HP over time. So it gives a very strong defense and regen, so perhaps it will enable people to have more of a turnaround at the last moment. Next, they talked about the Etherometer, which is essentially a special type of checkpoint. You fill the meter by standing in it to activate bridges, and leaving the circle resets the meter, as well as when an opposing team member enters the circle, that will also reset the meter. Once it's filled, it stays active and the bridges remain, and it's no longer a checkpoint. The fact, when it fills, the jump glyphs activate as well. Well, this is what it looks like activated, as well as these are the jump glyphs. When the etherometer is full, the jump glyphs will also activate, allowing you to travel forward, basically to the other side of the arena. And both of these will stay active until the battle is over, so you only have to activate them once. They then show in person against one lonely dragoon, where Yoshi P shows the arena. We also point out that there's lots of points of line of sighting here with the bookshelves and what have you, which is something that they kind of focused on a bit here. They then showed the etherometer charging, where you could see in the video, of course, that it feels quite fast, but obviously it's quite easy to reset it as well as its drawback. They then showed the bridge, the stairs, shown being activated after setting up the etherometer once. And we move on to the other updates. I'm supposed to put this in the next folder, but it's fine. But they finished up with the PvP, and I recommend looking at the in-game footage on your own in the PLL. Next, we have the miscellaneous updates. They improved the sightseeing log with essentially updating the log message to give you more information, things like which emote is required, as well as time or weather conditions. There's also updates to the outfit glamour, which is that box thing that you could put into the glamour dresser. They are including all gear from dungeons from 3.0 onward to store as an outfit, and individual pieces of gear can also be removed from the outfit glamours. One really good thing about this is it essentially means, except for the 2.x, all the dungeon sets can go in, which is a pretty big deal. And he showed it to us in game as well. You can see the different boxes here, including the green gear, and as usual, the 9. It includes accessories as well, which is, I think, very nice. They then showed the list for restoring. It's a check system where it's got a all and an all on and all off. You can pick any number of items that you want as well, and you can take them out or put them back in as well, as we've done so far. Next, they added a major quality of life situation for crafters, where while you are in standby in that sort of crouched crafting pose, players will be able to change their job or class, consume food in pots, move items in their inventory, join or leave a party, as well as operate link shells. And all I gotta say is, can we get this with Fisher next, please? Thank you. And perhaps the most important update, you can now pet the chocobo. Or rather, you can pet the chocobo and it actually responds to you. But they've also added other animations corresponding to companion rank, so they feel a bit more like your buddy, you're friends with them and such. And yeah, chocobo will react when you pet and poke them, which is good. That's good stuff. Also, 2 new color schemes: clear pink, yay, pink, and clear gray. I guess that's there. They went on a break. Yoshi P went on a sig break and came back, and everyone was dancing, probably to ride the rhythm. Moving on, we had Beastmaster. They went over the information that we had in the last PLL, the weapon, the role, starting level, level cap, job quests, which they really recommend doing the job quests. It teaches you how to do things and explains things to you, gives you kind of like a basic idea of what to do as a player, as well as it also does the special mode. They explain the special mode that Beastmaster has as well. They then mention the unlock conditions as well, the usual kind of things that we talked about last time. They then did a recap over the information that we heard before. The Crucible will be given information in the job quest, so again, make sure to do the job quest. All mobs they mentioned actually can be collected as a solo player, but some are also available as a party, so you can go with people, but you'll still be able to obtain them as a solo player, which I think is very good. I think it shows that they learned from Blue Mage's issue, where it was supposed to be solo, but you had to go with parties to actually get certain skills, which was, to me, a weak point of Blue Mage. So I'm glad to see that change. They then discussed the capturing beast rotation. The basic flow is you kind of gauge, is the monster tameable, both by your level as well as just in general, is it a monster you can tame? Weaken them, use the catch skill, and then you do have to kill them for the catch to register or not. Then they moved into showing Yoshida catching a curl here in the field with the level 30 gear on. He pretty much did the exact same thing that he showed here, and then showed catching the curl. One thing I noted was that the curl entry is essentially like the category rather than the specific name. So he caught a jungle curl, but the Beastmaster, the best bestiary entry is curl, like the species. So this also means that they'll kind of be a wider category than a specific one. They explain that 3 battle horns. Next, they talk about fighting alongside the beasts, where they explain the mechanics of fighting. You have to set these beasts to call upon using the bestiary, and there are 3 different horns that you assign them to. And you can only call upon 1 beast at a time. During battle, you can swap the 3 beasts between those 3 beasts besides that you have assigned. And those horns do have a cooldown in battle, but not in a sanctuary when you're out of battle, as they show us later in action as well. You can also use the bestiary to change the scale of the monsters from small, medium, or large. And if you want to change it, you do have to re-summon it for it to activate. They showed us the Kushi, which I don't remember its English name, unfortunately. They showed it to us in a smaller size and a larger size as well. They then went through the Beastmaster's beast actions. There are 4 skills: the Finisher, Trick, Tempered Release, and Nature's Gift. The Finisher is a powerful attack with, a large AoE, and then that beast leaves the arena. Trick is that sort of instinctual skill, your basic weapon skill, and then there's the Tempered skill, which performs a unique action per each monster. And finally, Nature's Gift, where the player uses a skill based on the current monster, which could be things like a defensive buff, a movement skill, etc., etc. If you forget what you have, thankfully, there is a active BC kind of party list window here so that you can compare what you have active and see the balance of them in case you forgot. Then they talked about the instinctual skills more specifically, the weapon skills. You fill up the Beast and Beastmaster meters to have the pair do attacks together. More gauge, more damage. Pretty simple on that. The main thing is that you want to work in combos, instinctual combos, as each of the instinctual skills have colors between brown, green, blue, and red. And the beast has matching color ones. Rather they have 1 of the 4 colors. And if you use them in order, you activate a combo. The order being shown in this image here: brown to green to red to blue, back to brown again. For example, if the player starts with brown and their monster uses green, so then the player uses brown and then the monster uses green to activate a combo. Or if the monster has green, you could use the monster doing green and then the player using red. Higher levels will have things that help you chain more combos together, as well as filling up the gauge and so on. When 2 elements combine, they either get a dark, which is the left to right movement on the circle, or light up to down movement on the wheel. You can see by the 2 colors on the wheel as well. You need to use those elements quickly, as the buff that it gives you is quite short. You can level up and capture beasts without doing the job quest if you want, but please do it. They also showed the level cap gear here, and showed us an example of them using the fight here in combat. And I recommend watching the in-action play to get a better understanding and a better feel for the fight system. There will also, they mentioned, be different variants of monsters, which follows the whole, curl species grouping, from different variants of the monsters, perhaps colors, different designs, and so on, that you can swap out between, like a glamour as well. They then tried to start the FanFest block, and Yoshi P then remembered he should show off the mounts and minions and rewards and such. He then showed off a few of the relic weapons, including Black Mage, Paladin, Astral, and Dragoon, and Bard. He then also showed this mount, the Omega Fist, as well as we got to see the entire panel here as well. And he pulled out the Wings of Nihility. I believe that's how it's pronounced. The annual wings. He then also showed us this poor baby parrot. Oh, this poor baby parrot. And this little guy named Duck Porter. And they did even show us the biblically accurate Warrior of Light, aka the final extreme mount of this X-Pack. Moroboru also makes an offhand comment during this section about wanting to use the in-flight version of the mount, as this has the 6 wings, the on the ground only has 2. He wants to use that while he's on the ground in PvP, but in PvP you can't fly, so you can't use it at all, and then Yoshi P kind of spins off into this whole thought train about how to actually maybe even do it. So while it's not something that is at all going to happen anytime soon, perhaps if we encourage the idea after that sort of comments and thinking about it, maybe we'll see it. I think that would be really cool for things like the wings, where they have very different vibes when you're flying versus on the ground. Another mount that they showed us was the Hardy Boiled Bike. And then they got out our classic A4 pieces of paper to show us the Occult Crescent gear, including this set, which I think is quite cute, and this set, another quite cute little dress. Next was the Cosmic Exploration ones with this kind of gearhead kind of vibe. And this one where the top reads to me as a very Pokemon Trainer-esque. Not in a bad way, I like it. But it went on to say, there's a lot of content to do, there's a lot of rewards to get, a lot of stuff to do. Okay, for real, on to the FanFest block. So they went with a recap, remembering Anaheim Convention Center next week, Messe Berlin in July, and Makuhari Messe in October. They then even showed us the key art for all 3 of these FanFests, where the art is the same, but the three different FanFests have different color schemes. I have to say personally, I think part of me leans towards the Tokyo one, but that may just be fatigue from seeing all the blue and green lately with the North America one, so maybe that's why. But it is still a really good blue and green. I do still really like it, but I might be leaning towards the Tokyo one just because it's newer color scheme. Then they of course brought up the online store bonus items, or perhaps commemorative items rather, the Hardy Daytona, the runway mount, or the runway emote, the minion, the t-shirt, which you can match real life if you buy the taco t-shirts, and the 2 sets of Orchestrion rolls. And next they brought up that pretty much right now, I think by the time this video is up, it's probably going to be up, there are new group pose frames and stickers themed around FanFest this year, so make sure to use them. I'm very happy that they'll be going on until Japan FanFest, as I will be gone for a little while to go to FanFest. They also brought up the North American Fan Festival streaming details. They will have the stage events streamed for free, and as they've already mentioned, you can pay to watch the concerts. Make sure to be cheering on from the chat. And then they brought up about Japan Fan Festival. This is quite surprising. They are going to be getting halls 1 to 7 on Makuhari Messe, which is much more than they got the last time they were at Makuhari Messe, where they only had, I think, 3, maybe 4 halls. They pretty much doubled their floor space. So I think that's a good sign, because I do remember Makuhari being pretty bad last time. And for anybody that is able to apply for the Japan Fan Fest lottery applications begin, I think they're up now and end on May 10th. They end on May 10th. So good luck. to those that are applying. Anyway, I invited a special guest to talk about the Download Festival, where Soken says, I don't know what's so special about me, but I'm here. He then talked about stuff about 7.5, with Yoshi P plugging his ear and going, la 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 la, can't hear you. Soken points out about the amount of songs in 7.5 is almost as much as an entire X-Pack, and they have another X-Pack coming soon, where Yoshi P jokes, what X-Pack? We don't have it. No, what are you talking about? We haven't talked about anything. What X-Pack? Anyway, so afterwards, Soken talked about how they actually had an offer last year to go to Download Festival, but scheduling just kind of didn't work out, and they went this year. And they talked that the lineup's like really stacked, very yuppie. And they even talked that they'll have their own booth with game things, which was a first for Download Festival, and it took a bit of organizing and what have you, but they're excited to have a game-focused booth at the festival, including a Final Fantasy XIV pop-up shop, essentially, as well as a special t-shirt featuring the Primals, with, of course, Downloado written in katakana on it. We love our katakana just like Japan loves its random English on their t-shirts. Yoshi P talked a bit towards Soken, saying, he's so worried about, Soken being with those hardcore bands and their fans, and they might be like, ew, what's this nerd game stuff? And Soken will come back like, woo, woo, woo. But Soken says, of course, that there have to be some metalhead wolves out there, so please join them at Download. They're also going to be at another performance, quite literally right before EU Fan Fest at the Game Music Jam Level 1. Is Soken okay, ever? Anyway, this is the first event of its kind in Japan, and the first year they're running this, where it's meant to hype up game music, and specifically not orchestral performances, so more different types of performing game music. So I hope it goes well. It looks like we've got, obviously, the Primals featuring Nanjo, who is from Love Live, but also is our Suzaku and Kururu, Cryo, voice actress in Japanese. We'll also be having Nier Automata and Undertale, and they even say more titles to be announced, so perhaps another awesome game will get added. Then, they had a surprise video for us. It's not much of a surprise. Morbol was wearing a Jollibee X Final Fantasy XIV t-shirt the entire PLL, but Jollibee collab, where America and Canada will finally be getting the Eat Chicken emote. Limited time meals, merch, and more, and it will start on the 21st and go until May 31st. You will be able to physically get food if a Jollibee branch is near you, but there's also the option to buy apparel and other merchandise online, so you don't have to worry about if there's a branch near you or not, which I think is a major improvement over the Gongcha collaboration last time. So yeah, Jollibee and 14 are collabing for a themed meal set, and you will be able to get the emote by either buying a meal or some merchandise online. They will have Lodestone information soon, and I'm sure that you can take a look at their online merch soon as well. So again, I think that this is a good sign. I'm really happy that there's an online option for collaboration merch, that if there's not a Jollibee near you, you have that option to order something to get the emote as well. I don't know the value thresholds, but at least that option is there, as I know that Jollibee is nowhere near as populous in branches as other food places. It definitely shows to me an improvement from the Gongcha collaboration, and I'm happy to see that as well. It's not perfect, but it's at least a little better than Gongcha's situation. They showed us the food sets, which include the 6-piece Chicken Joy with 3 drinks, and then a meal set with a burger, fries, a mango pie, a chicken, and a drink. They also showed us the merch, which includes 2 t-shirts, a long sleeve sweatshirt, and a pullover hoodie with some really cute art. Soken commented on it as well. It's very, very cute art. They even showed us the boxes. Plushies are not included, of course. Where there were some humorous comments, humorous text on the box. No chocobos were harmed in the making of this meal, which when that was translated, Soken and Yoshida had quite a laugh. They quite enjoyed that line. And then we even noted that on the back there is hear, feel, think Jollibee, which also got them laughing quite a lot. And Soken feels that the designs are really adorable. Furthermore, other events, they've got a VR Chocobo Race theme park event thing. You will have a demo version available to try at Japanese Fan Festival if you are able to go. It looks like Yashola and Thancred are racing in it. Perhaps they will give us more information, and maybe in the future we'll see it elsewhere as well. Furthermore, the Adventures Chronicle exhibition tickets are now available, but I believe most of them are sold out. Like, the pre-reg are almost all sold out, if not already. I think they mentioned that only like standard tickets are available, where it might have a different system. I didn't double check since I'm not there and can't go anyway. But the pre-reg tickets are either almost gone or already gone. But if you're able to go, I strongly recommend it. Next, I talked about the Twitch campaign where you can get special badges by watching streams during the FanFest. So please check the lodestone for more details. The North American set will include the Fat Cat and the main scenario quest. So it looks like I'm gonna have to have my phone running some Twitch watching while I'm at FanFest so I can get these, because those are pretty good ones. And finally, we have some employment opportunities. If you are able to apply for these, good luck! And then they made some final reminders about quest eligibility for limited jobs, as well as the changes to the Japan game rating that they've posted recently and they want to bring attention to. And with that, that wraps up the PLL. They talked about how they will be doing a patch note reading. It'll be pretty much right after they get back from North America Fan Festival. Yoshida, please get some sleep. Yoshi is very excited to see North American Wolves again after so long, and is really excited to share with us all the things that have been worked on behind the scenes up until now, but they haven't been able to talk about it with us. So I'm also very excited to get to see them in person this coming weekend as well. And that's the end of PLL 92. Tell me what interested you most about this live letter. For me, it's the crafter quality of life. Once again, can we get it for fish? And petting the chocobos. And yeah, make sure to subscribe and like the video to see more like this. I will actually be at North America Fan Fest as well, so feel free to say hi if you see me. I'll have wool stickers to trade, so perhaps we can trade wool stickers. Normally, I stream every day except Mondays, mostly playing Final Fantasy XIV, so please do feel free to stop by and hang out with us after I come back from FanFest. And with that, I will see you next time. Oyasumimi! Bye bye!